Liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Duff,
Here.
Jeremy,
Here.
Wozniacki,
Here.
Rayborn, McNutt,
Here.
Newman,
Here.
O'Brien.
Here. Believe we have any additions to business?
I have none tonight, thank you.
Approval of the agenda.
Motion.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by O'Brien. Roll call.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Wozniacki.
Yes.
Rayborn. Yes. McNutt,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Correspondences and information. First one from the Commerce Township Library, looks like the semi-annual book sale is not going to be happening anymore. Yeah,
But it looks like they'll have a little
Little
section
store.
maybe year round,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
store.
looks like a little store. It's like Comcast, we're losing some channels.
You think we'll get a reduction?
Okay, we're losing some channels.
We're losing some channels.
People's Express, their retirement, there's a new interim manager, managing director. And then water quality test at Penny Lake Pump. So it looks like there's, it sounded like the water was fine there, and coming out, but there was still some sediment stuff, so. Receive and file.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. First call to public. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items only.
You gentlemen have something? No. I do, so I'll go. Good morning. Good evening. My name's Craig Minnelletti. Speaking of the water quality test over at Penny Lake Road, I have a house over on 375 Penny Lake Road. I don't live in it. It's been my mom's house for a long time. That was my mother-in-law's house. I'm sure you're all familiar with what that water house does. Services roughly about 100 people, roughly, we think, throughout that southeast section of the village. Basically, if you don't know how it works, basically it's a big house. We pump the water out of the ground goes in the service lines goes in front of everybody's house, goes into your service line, goes into your house. Pretty self-explanatory. As I've been at this house now since 2012, we have a pretty extensive filtration system. Explain quickly what it is. We have a pre-filter, we have a water softener, we have a post-filter. So when the water comes into the house, first thing it touches is that pre-filter. Then it goes into the water softener, comes out of the water softener, goes into the post-filter before it goes in the toilets, showers, wherever else it wants to go. Last time I changed the filter, this is what it looks like. Now, I have a new water line. I do not have an old water line. And I know the village has said in the past that get your line purged. I believe Mark is a licensed plumber or knows a lot about plumbing. I don't necessarily think, and I've talked to my plumbers, purging a 5-year-old line is going to get sediment out of the line. What's happening is the water is coming up from the well house, which I had the water tested as well. The water itself, if you take out the sediment, is fine. But as that water is being pushed down, sediment's coming from somewhere. Whether it's coming up from the ground and being pushed to the service lines is probably where it's coming from. But as it's going down everybody's house, this is the post filter. So luckily, I'm able to catch a lot of it. But this is the water. Again, I had this tested. Who wants to take a drink? This is what's in the bottom of my pre-filter when I unscrew it, take out the filter, and pour it into the sink. This is not acceptable. This should not be something the Village of Wolverine Lake should be charging I think it's about $250 a year to about 100 residents for. There are systems that can be installed at that pump house that can provide our residents clean, safe water, which is not what we are doing. I understand if somebody has a bad service line. I don't have that. The service line is less than 5 years old. And we've all seen the fire hydrants get emptied over in that area. If you haven't, go look at it when they do it. The grass is basically brown and yellow in front of everybody's house because they have to clear them out. They have to clear them out because that sediment is just gonna gunk everything up. I would hope that the village could look at this. I've talked to Dave about it for a while. Is there something that we can do to give our residents better water? Because I think our residents deserve clean, clear water. Because right now, I don't think any of you want a cup. And I think any of you with small children, I know Aaron does, I don't think you want to bathe your child in this water right now. It is unfair to say this is the water we are giving our residents. I'm open for questions, but that's my spiel on it.
How long was the pre-filter?
I'm sorry?
How long had the pre-filter
I change these
been
about
there?
every 45 days.
45 days, okay.
Yeah. If you go longer, then this
clogged up.
filter starts to get really bad. And if it does go longer, I get the call from my mother-in-law, toilets are getting brown. So then I know we've gone a little bit too far. And then we got to put a little bit of bleach in the back of the toilets, clean them up a little bit. And wells can change. I'm on an individual well on Del Monte. Wells can change. And I have a lot of filtration systems on my house. But if I had that coming into my house, I'd be drilling a new well. And I know the village gives people, I understand the option of drilling a new well. Drilling a new well is probably $8,000, $9,000 right now, so it's costly. And people bought a house over there because they didn't want to be on an individual well potentially. And I think a system can be installed over at that pump house that can get out a lot of the sediment, because it has to be coming up from when we're pumping water. I mean, it's fairly obvious where it's coming from. And I think as it's going down the track, my house is about 7 or 8 in from the pump house. I'm sure it gets less and less as you go. But it doesn't help the first 25, 30, 40, or however many people it is. I just think there's got to be something we can do to better the water quality for our residents.
Well, one of the things we do is we offer a purge. People can they call it for a fee of $35. Andy will come out and purge the line from the road up to your house, and that gets really filled with sediment. And that's like that same water that goes through when he does the hydrant flushing.
Sure.
That's what goes in there.
Jennifer,
So
where does that sediment come from?
it comes from there.
Right, that we have to solve that problem. Me purging a 5-year-old line isn't solving the problem.
Well, I
That's
can-
just charging homeowners $35 additional fee.
Well, I
That
can
doesn't
tell
need to be
you
charged.
too that, we're under requirements too for how deep a community well has to be. It's a lot different than a private well, and it's a lot deeper. It's like 150 feet. And so there's a lot more metal the lower you go in the ground. The deeper you go,
I
the more
understand about
metals.
wells, but it still doesn't give the village the right to provide this to its residents.
Well, but then that's why the purging is so helpful.
There's no reason that somebody needs to purge a line that's 5 years old. None.
It's not your line. It's the village's line from the road
That
up
line
to the
he's not
house.
purging, he's purging my line. He's purging my line.
Well, for $35, it will stop that from happening so much.
It'll stop it.
I would think you would want to try it at least.
I've tried it many times.
Oh, I
It's worked
understood you
for-
had.
It works for a week. What that line purging does is no different than my mother running the faucet. It's the same thing. You're just having water run through the line to clear the line. But as that sediment is coming from the pump house, it's going to keep hitting every line as it goes in. We have to stop the sediment from going into the main service line to people's homes. That's what stops this. I'm not saying you're stopping 100% of it, but if you can stop 75% of it, 80% of it, what's stopping the village from installing a filtration system, just like everybody does, in their homes potentially, if they're financially capable, There are people potentially that may not be able to do what I did at this house, which is all of these different systems. These filters are about $35 a piece. They're not cheap. Some people just can't afford that. So what if you have somebody that's sitting there going, well, this is our water, and they're having to drink this, or they're having to bathe in this, brush their teeth in this. It's not fair, it's not right. And then to say, we're gonna charge you an extra $35 to purge your line. I understand what you're saying, and once every 2-3 years, I don't disagree with you. But I don't think that solves the problem. That just fixes it for a very short time frame. We need to try to fix the problem. And it's been like this for however long this pump house has been here. And this isn't the first time I brought this up. Dave was just nice enough to actually have a conversation with me over the last 6-9 months we've been talking about it. And he's been very gracious to give me the opportunity tonight to actually bring this up. And I really do appreciate that you allowed me to come in. And Aaron has been very helpful as well.
To be fair, that $35 charge, that takes about an hour of Andy's time.
It's not the money, and I understand, I understand that covers Andy's cost.
Yeah,
Andy
and the
deserves-
machinery too. Yeah,
100%.
and it doesn't cover the cost. It doesn't, because Andy's hourly wage and the cost of the machines to purge those lines, it's not $35, it's more than $35. But that's just the charge we've given, because we want to encourage all of our residents to get purges like once a year, once every 2 years, just to keep their system as clean and good as they can.
Or why don't we fix the problem?
I mean, we could, I mean, they
There
can
we go,
look
we
at
just
it,
solved
but.
it, we fixed the problem. If we fix the problem, you don't have to keep sending our DPW guy out when he can be doing something else. I'm not saying that he can't be doing this to residents once every 5 years. Maybe that's what we need to do, put them on a schedule. I find it odd that we're charging somebody $35 to fix your problem. Not their problem, it's your problem, because you're providing the water. So we're charging people not only $250 a year, the expectation is, well, pay another $35 and you'll get maybe 50 or 60% good water. We need to fix the problem.
Is there a company out there that like a oil drilling company or water company that can help from the very beginning? Because I agree with you, if you can stop it, right?
I'm sure there is, absolutely, because what's the difference from, this pump house is basically just a larger version of what, are you on an individual well now?
We have our own well, yeah.
Okay, so it's basically no different than what we have at our homes, we have an individual well. It's just services 100+ homes, it doesn't service just one house. So can that be done? I don't see why it's any different than somebody's own personal house. Why can't a system like this be installed there? That maybe catches 50% of it, and then have another one that catches another 35 or 40% of it. Because what's gonna happen is, if these lines that have been put throughout the village somehow get too clogged up,
Yeah.
we're gonna be ripping out service lines, which you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars to do, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. This could very well prevent or stop the village from spending long-term money and just say, hey, can we put a $5,000 filtration system in, because it's on a larger scale than it would be in a residential house.
Right.
I think it needs to be looked at, because I think you're fixing a potential issue that could cause the village to spend a lot more money. And I'm sure Mr. Powell can speak of that. And it's not coming from, I've heard some stories of what's coming through into the line. It's not coming from the lines, it's coming from the well. And purging the line, I agree, it does serve a small purpose. It doesn't fix the problem. It just charges our residents more money. Any other questions I can answer?
I just have a question. Dave, is that something that we would look into? Can we work with Andy on identifying if there is a company, a system that would be able to facilitate something like that?
It's always something we can look into. I mean, the question is gonna be what the cost is gonna
Sure.
be. And if there is a cost, it's gonna be passed along to the homes that are served by that community well. So,
I think it's worth maybe just having the conversation.
Well, I think if somebody knows that, hey, for $35 a month, we can increase your water quality by X amount of percent, I think a lot of people would at least want to have that conversation, to say, this is what your water is now. Are you okay with? And you know what, maybe we'll find out that maybe I'm the only one that thinks the water quality's bad. And then at that point, we just had a nice conversation, it's done. But I think if people really look at what their water is, I think they're gonna say, what can I, if this is a small amount every month or every quarter, I'm okay with that.
have you heard similar complaints from your neighbors, I mean, your mother's
Yes.
neighbors over there?
Yes.
Okay.
But, people don't like to come talk to people. You know how that
You're
works.
right, and that's part of our perspective. Here is, you're the first one that's really brought this issue
Sure, I understand.
to an issue here with me, or with the village, so.
I think if you send out some information to these folks, which I think is 100, maybe a little over 100 people, and given them the opportunity to talk, I wouldn't be surprised if you had a decent turnout of people that would at least want to listen to the conversation. And again, we may find out that the overwhelming majority says we're fine with what we have. Well, then you're fine with what we have. I'm not, I don't think it's good, and I find it odd that we're charging for this type of water, but maybe down the road I choose to drill an individual well a little bit deeper, and I don't have the problem. But the water is supplied by the city, the village. So I just think I think as somebody who sits on a village board, I think we're just providing a terrible service to our residents. I mean, I wouldn't say that we're Flint, but I sure as hell wouldn't want to drink that water.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's doing this maliciously. And I don't blame DPW. He does a fantastic job. He has done everything that you've asked him to do. So I don't blame him, but he understands, because we've talked, he understands my position, I understand his position. The water itself, he is absolutely correct. The water appears to be okay if you can get the sediment out of the water. Because I had it tested through Aqua Labs at White Lake, and I sent you a copy of that.
Correct.
And it seemed
Everybody
to be-
at the table has a
And it
copy.
seems to be okay.
Yes.
It's just a matter of, can we get this sediment out of the water? Because this is actually settled for about a month. If you actually pour it out immediately, when it fills up the jar, I mean, it's just as brown can be.
Well, I remember you brought a different jar into my office.
Last
before.
summer?
Yeah.
So, any other questions I can answer for anybody?
Can we send out a survey to all the residents serviced by that? Is that possible? Is that logistic?
I mean, I'm sure we can identify the customers. I mean, what information are you looking for from the survey?
Just what their opinions are about the water quality, what their experiences are, just so we can corroborate what Greg's saying.
Well, is it worth, throw this out, is it worth doing some investigation first? And not just saying, are you satisfied with the water quality? If you're not, are you willing to pay X dollars a month
No.
more, or X dollars a quarter
Yeah,
more
I'm not-
to potentially
Not
improve
saying
your
that,
water
just figuring
quality?
out, just
Yeah.
to get their thoughts on it,
Yeah.
as a place to start.
If you send a survey out that says, would you like to have
What do you think?
cleaner, prettier water, everybody's gonna say yes.
Or what do you
But-
think of
but
it?
if here's the
Why do you
cost,
say that?
yeah.
You just say, what are your experiences?
Yeah.
And it's just a place to start, or just check them out.
I'd make a motion that we have Andy investigate the cost in terms of putting some type of sediment filtration on the well house.
Do we have more than one? Second.
Yeah.
This gentleman actually, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name. He had said we have more than one pump house in the village. I wasn't aware of that.
We do, we have the
Yeah.
Laguna Pump House.
So that might be, and again, I don't know anything about that water. So maybe that's a situation that needs to be addressed as well. Aaron, are you on that one, on the Laguna one, or no?
No, no.
So maybe that's one that needs to be addressed as well if somebody's having issues over there.
I would say, I'm sorry, Craig, but I
Oh,
would
no.
say one thing at a time. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about one system. This
Yep.
is the first complaint that we received
Sure.
about the one system. And as Craig has indicated, in both pump systems, all the water that we're providing meets all state and county standards.
Yeah.
But if we can take it a step further, potentially improve the quality, but let's take it one step at a time.
We have a motion by Mark and second by Aaron to, maybe check the system and look into the
Yeah,
filtration
find
system.
out about a sediment removal system.
And he may want to be consulting with the village
Yeah.
engineer too, I'm
Yep.
guessing. So-
I mean, I know of systems that are out there.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean.
Well aware.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why I mentioned Mark, because I know we have talked a little bit about
Yeah.
this, and I know he knows about plumbing. There are, and not expensive systems either. We're not talking $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. It's basically a large filter, a couple of large filters. Basically no different than what I have in my house, just on a larger scale. And that DPW would have to, or somebody would have to change those filters once a month, once a quarter, whoever that would be. So I don't think this is a tough problem to solve. I really don't. And hopefully we can get our arms around it and figure out a good way for our residents to have cleaner water. I appreciate all your time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If I can be of any assistance, you know how to get a hold of me.
Certainly do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Any discussions on the motion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to, is anybody
Motion
else?
approved.
Or can I have a motion to close?
Anybody else for the call the public on agenda items only?
I found that very interesting. I think I remember it from 20 years ago. On agenda items only.
Yeah. Can we Name and address, Mr. Renwick?
Hmm?
Name and address for the record, please.
Dave Renwick,
Thank you.
685 Amelia.
Thank you.
As far as agenda items only go, I believe by the Open Meetings Act that you guys can restrict a call to the public. You can restrict the time of a call to the public, which I kept waiting for that alarm to go off. It never went off. So yes, you can restrict the time, but that time restriction was made by a court case and the Attorney General to handle unusual circumstances, like when there's 50 people here that want to talk. And yeah, you should restrict people to 3 to 5 minutes when there's 50 people. But when there's 6 people, having a 5-minute time limit is not really in the best interests of the citizens. It might be in the best interests of the council, but it's not in the best interests of the citizens. And the subject matter that can be addressed, right now, I would have preferred to have been talking about something else. It's not on the agenda. You can restrict the time. You can't restrict the subject matter during a call to the public. If you have a call to the public on an agenda item, then it is restricted to that agenda item. But you can't restrict the first call to the public to just agenda items. There's no rule of law that I can find that allows that. And in fact, they discourage it. So if Jennifer wants to jump in on me, that'd be great. I wouldn't mind at all. But restricting subject matter is not that I can find permissible. And I have been yelled down several times, "Oh, Mr. Renwick, you can't talk about that." Other people have. And call to the public is a call to the public.
We do have
It's
two.
not a call to what you want, it's a call to what the people
Right, we do have a
want.
second call to the public.
I know you have, I was around when the second call to the public was introduced. And you can have 2 calls to the public, but they both have to be open. You can have a call to the public at every agenda item on your agenda, if you want to. And you have done that. But a call to the public is a call to the public. It cannot be restricted. If anybody wants to tell me I'm wrong, I'll take it, but
I would disagree, but I'll defer to the village attorney.
So, the village, like all communities, is lawfully allowed to set up rules of procedure.
mhm.
And in its rules of procedure, it has established 2 different call to the public times. And the reason why they have call to the public for agenda items is for efficiency of the meetings, which they're allowed to do. There is an opportunity for the public to speak about whatever they want to speak about on the agenda, so they've met the requirements of the law by doing that. They've actually allowed an additional public comment
Yes.
time. Proper rules of procedure would not allow discussion during, that's why this community is actually really good. I have some communities that people just talk whenever, in the public or at the table. This community is really good when they get to an agenda item to have a motion and a second to open the discussion, because there shouldn't actually be public discussion when you're on a business item. It's when there's time for public comment. So if the only thing on this agenda were public comment for items on the agenda, you'd have a problem. But there is opportunity for discussion about anything on this agenda. They can organize the timing of that conversation.
Okay. Is there a case law that actually says you can restrict what people talk about at a call to the public?
It's not necessarily case law. It's Open Meetings Act, Attorney General opinions, that allow for councils, boards to set up rules of procedure. That would be part of the rules of procedure, is establishing 2 different public comment periods in their meetings.
Exactly. But can it establish a restriction on what can be spoken about?
As long as they're allowing the public to comment on any item within the confines of the law at the meeting, at some point during the meeting. And that is provided for at the end of the meeting. So you can speak about any item at a Village of Wolverine Lake Council meeting at the end of the meeting. The beginning of the meeting is for people to talk about the business items, because technically you're not supposed to allow public comment during the business discussion. So that's why they do that. They could just eliminate that public comment at the beginning of the meeting, and then nobody would be allowed to comment on any of the business items unless they open the floor to discussion. Some communities do that. I have a client community that their call to the public is at the end of the meeting, so they traditionally don't allow that comment during their business, so.
I realize all of this, but I will ask you again, I'm not trying to be redundant, but is there case law establishing that? Because the Open Meetings Act says you can address anything at a call to the public.
There is.
So, let me finish. The council can indeed create a restriction on time. That has been established. But there has been nothing established that I am aware of, no case law, that says council can create a restriction on what can be addressed.
So what you're referencing, where in Michigan it has established that bodies can limit the time, is the same legal precedent that allows for the community to set up rules of procedure. The time limitations, it could be 3 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, it just varies by community. That's part of rules of procedure, just like 2 different call to the public times, just like the first call to the public is agenda items, the second call to the public is all items. That's part of rules of procedure. The time is part of rules of procedure. So all of that is included within rules of procedure. Things like council cannot address the public directly. I mean, there's all kinds
Again, I
of.
will ask, is there case law stating this?
Yes, absolutely.
I can't find it. If you can make me aware of it, I'd appreciate it.
I will. I will provide you some information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just as a note, Wixom does the same thing as we do. And has a call to the public for the agenda items, and then at the end has a open call to the public for anything else.
Right, because if you are going to have a call to the public for agenda items, you must allow for public comment for any item. You have to, because you can't limit to just agenda items. Like he's saying, you can't limit the speech in that way, but you have the opportunity for public comment for anything on your agenda. So you've satisfied the requirements of the law.
Okay, but do you see the roundabout that you just said? You can't limit what people talk about, but you can limit it at the first call to the public.
Well, you can't limit entirely at a public meeting speech, but because there is a second call to the public on this agenda, the speech isn't limited. They're allowed to speak, it's just at a different time in the
But
meeting.
call to the public is a generic term for a call to the public.
There is a call to the public where you can speak about anything.
Okay,
But I will get that information to you.
okay, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I have searched and searched, and I can find nothing to support what you're saying.
Yeah.
The time limit, yes, but the time limit was made for unusual circumstances of a high crowd capacity. To beep somebody when there's 2 other people in the room that's more for council than for the people. Just saying.
Thank you.
Tim Besser, call the public.
Motion to close, call to the public.
Motion by F, second by Jeremy, need to close, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Consideration approving the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Dove, second by Newman. Roll call, please.
Wozniacki,
Yes.
Rayborn,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Board appointments. I think we have planning liaison.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Patrick Brzezowski as a planning commission liaison to the zoning board.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman, to appoint Patrick to the planning commission liaison. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Presentations are citizen of the year.
Mr. President?
We have our Village of Wolverine Lake 2024 Citizen of the Year, Mr. Fred Meisner, who's a member of the Veterans Memorial.
Pardon me?
Member of the Veterans Committee, Memorial Committee, right?
Yes, yes, amongst other things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I'm not gonna name them all. Hey, Dave, come on.
I gotta take the picture.
Oh, well,
I got a camera.
Thank you. Thank you. Will I even get to hold this?
You
too?
get to hold, it's yours.
Oh, what the- My daughter. Oh, all right, well, it's yours.
She's
Go
very
for it.
important.
I'll get you.
You gotta give it back to me when we're done, by
Thank you.
All right, no, that's or you take it off and put it in the next guy's name.
Thank you.
Don't leave. Okay. Thank you to, thank you. Thanks to the people that nominated me, to the council that selected me. I've lived here for over 30 years. I've done a lot of things, but when Dave called, I go, "So hi, how you doing?" And then he tells me, I go, "No, it's not me, it's somebody else. Come on, there's other people who've done a lot more things in the village, for the village than me, but I love living here, it's a wonderful place. I have friends, so, thank you. And I hope all here. It's a wonderful place to live.
Congratulations, Brett.
Thank you.
If I could, just one follow-up comment. As Fred said, when I called him the day after our last meeting to let him know that he had been chosen and to see if he could come here tonight, you know, you often hear the term about somebody being speechless. But Fred, literally, he was. I mean, I could tell. I could envision his face on the other end of the phone, and he was so pleased and I think so pleasantly surprised
Yeah.
that everybody here at the village holds him in such high regard. So, again,
Thank
congratulations.
you all for supporting the veterans park. So sweet.
That's a great
Mark,
thing.
Ron was a former citizen of the year, so we take pride in that. Yep. Good job.
Recommendations, updates, Mr. Powell?
Yes, thank you, council. It took a while, but we finally received 4 bids or estimates for completing the BMX track in Clara Miller Park. As I pointed out and tried to describe in my letter, The four companies each presented their prices a little differently. After I evaluated each one, even though Superior Excavating was the least expensive, after calculating, really Schaefer's Incorporated, and he used to work for King Septic, ended up actually being the best option, in my opinion, for the village, because if you took a look at the, let's just say Superior, which was the lowest price of $8,480, they did that cost based upon a 16-hour total project time. I don't think they're gonna get it done in 2 days. And so, the next lowest price would have been Schaefer's Inc., and that's a 40-hour work week then, a lot more realistic than the 16-hour day. So at their estimate at $11,900, and I don't expect it to probably hit that number exactly. Remember, this is an hourly contract, but they are the contractor. Yeah, every single contractor is well qualified. But my recommendation is Schaefer's Incorporated. They have a good handle on the project. They know, the bigger contractors really thought about it as building a road, okay? They thought it was gonna have to be precisely surveyed in, then they thought it was gonna have to be precisely constructed, and then it was gonna be as-builted, and they were gonna have to come in and change it. So that's not the way this is designed. It's designed to give the children a really neat place to ride their bikes and not necessarily be competitive. That being said, my recommendation is Schaefer's Incorporated at an estimate of $11,900, but billing at the hourly rate that they have presented.
Motion to approve Engineer Powell's recommendation to accept Scheffler Inc. As the contractor for $11,900 not to exceed.
Second. The motion by Duff, second by Brian. Is there any discussion?
Mike, is this going to include that cloth barrier that you were talking about having put in there?
Yeah, it includes the cloth barrier. It does not include any fine raking and vegetating and all that. So yes, it does include that cloth barrier to separate the different materials.
Great.
Did you say when they would be able to start?
They can start just as soon as we give them the go-ahead and let them know that they were selected.
Okay.
So the proposal has hand labor mentioned in there, is that the vegetation establishment?
That's correct, and so it does not have hand labor. Hand labor would have put it even higher. So once they get it completed, really DPW and I will be talking along with David, and it's potentially the DPW can rake it out, potentially throw grass seed. Otherwise, I would recommend hiring a landscaper to come out and actually do that lawn work.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion? Have a roll call, please.
Rayborn?
Yes.
Burnett?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Rudy?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Thank you, council. We'll let them know so we can get that started immediately. The next item, I believe my letter kind of lays it out. Powell Engineering was established in 2008, and this is only the second time I've asked for a rate increase. And therefore, we did the analysis based upon what our costs are, and then we had some recommendations as to how to maybe modify the right-of-way permits and the plot plans and the grinder pumps to accommodate a little higher fee that we're recommending. This is obviously up to council, but I'm here to discuss this change. I think, hopefully they provided the adjacent engineering companies' hourly rates as well. And so I wanted to make sure that you had a comparison of Commerce Township and White Lake Township's fees as well.
Make a motion to approve Engineer Powell and Associates rate increase as presented.
Second. Motion by Duff, second by Newman for rate increase. Any discussion on that?
Question for Mr. Powell, if I could. Mike, if this is approved tonight, when would you envision the rate increases becoming effective? Would it be as of tomorrow, or would it be as of any new projects that start after today's date?
Yeah, probably the first of the last year. No, I'm kidding. Quite frankly, that's a great question, and I can commit to any new job or project number. So that means any new project going forward. That means we'll make sure that we hit budget numbers and things like that on any older projects. So any new project will have the increased rates, and that'll allow us to change the estimates that have been given to people for grinder pump installations and things like that, so we don't exceed those quoted amounts.
Just to understand, Mike, how much, say, for example, the senior professional engineer hourly rate, how much is that going up?
Let's see, I think we charge, I'm at $140 an hour now, and it goes up to $150.
Okay.
Any other discussion? No? Roll call.
McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
Thank you, council, very much.
We have no public hearings, correct?
Correct.
New business. Parks and Rec recommendation, release funds for the 2025 Easter Bunny Luncheon.
Motion to approve Easter Bunny Lunch funding as presented and from budgetary funds.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. Need a roll call. Need a roll call. Yeah, yeah. Roll call.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes. Water Management Board recommendation. Request council approve the quote from Lloyd Waters Associates to replace the boat cleaning gas or station sign not to exceed $70.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second. Can we have a second? Motion by
Newman.
Doug. Second by Newman. Okay.
Mr. Newman, or Mr. President, Mr. Newman, could you give a little background in terms of this?
Yeah, so the boat washing station that's over here on the DNR lot itself, the sign that gives you instructions of how to actually use the station is just completely faded to the point you carry it all. It's useless. So members of the water board went out and they actually got an approval to get the correct replacement with the actual correct instructions and everything on it. So this will be the appropriate replacement for it, and it's under $70.
Because there is specific language that has to be on the sign.
Yes.
Because we had to get authorization from the DNR to have the boat cleaning station out on their property, so.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Planning Commission recommendation, recommend council review and approve the 2024 annual planning report as required by Michigan Enabling Act, PA 33 of 2008.
Motion to approve as presented by the planning board.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Jeremy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Our agreement of professional planning services with Carlisle Workman.
Council, this is a proposed agreement to continue the village's relationship with Carlisle Workman Associates of Ann Arbor. This would provide for them to continue to provide planning consultant services to the village through June 30th of 2027.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Brian. Any discussion? No. So roll call, please.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Parks and Recreation Master Plan update. Carlisle Workman.
It's hard to believe, but it's been 5 years since the village last updated its Parks and Recreation Plan, master plan update. As I indicated in the memo, it's good practice to have a master plan in place anyway, but above and beyond that, if in the next 5 years we envision ourselves applying for any kind of grants or funding through the state or any other organization, having the updated master plan in place is typically a requirement. So Carla Wortman helped us with the last update. By all accounts, they did a very, very good job. They were very beneficial in fine-tuning the plan and then with the actual trust fund grant process. So our recommendation is that we retain Carlisle Wortman to help us with the update of the current master plan. And the price that was quoted is $14,240. And just by, for sake of comparison, the charge for the update back in 2020 was $12,000. So there is an increase, but not an unreasonable increase in my opinion, so.
Motion to approve using Carlo Wortman to update the Park and Rec master plan. As
Second.
presented. Sorry.
Motion by Deb, second by Jimmy. Any discussion on that? No? Let's have a roll call.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Raymore? Yes. McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Laguna Vista Pump House repairs.
This must be the night to talk about community wells, but as I've indicated in the memo during a recent inspection at the Laguna Vista Pump House, Andy Stone noticed that the pump seemed to be running much more frequently than it had been before. He contacted Brown Group Drilling Company, which has done the maintenance on our pump houses for a long period of time. They pulled the pump and they found a hole in the drop pipe. So what that basically means is water was being drawn up through the pipe, but then it was going out through the hole back into the ground. So when Andy told me about this, I knew exactly what he was talking about because we had this problem with a well at my house not too long after we moved in. So I knew exactly what he was talking about. So in addition to that, as long as the pump was out of the ground, Brown went ahead and tested it, and they found the service on the pump was fluctuating roughly around 60%. So we went back and checked with the treasurer. Jennifer advised that the electric bills had been significantly higher recently, and they have been. So as long as the pump was out, I went ahead and authorized Brown to go ahead and replace the pump to save money in a whole variety of respects for the village. So the work has already been done, but this is to formally approve the repair, which was in the amount of $21,535.33.
Motion to approve the repair not to exceed $21,535.33.
Second.
Motion by Deb, second by Newman. For the repairs, any discussion? Roll call.
Snedky?
Yes.
Raymore? Yes. McNutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Village Hall siding repairs.
Council, I believe the discussion that we had about doing some repairs on the siding on the Village Hall was during last year's budget discussion, goal setting. There were comments made about the condition, so it took Andy Stone a while to track down estimates from qualified contractors to get the work done. He was eventually able to obtain the 3 proposals to repair the damaged siding or replace the damaged siding. In addition, all the contractors we spoke with recommended that we have gutters installed on the building where they do not exist right now, which would seem to make sense. So Andy's recommendation, and I agree, is that we award the contract for the work to J. Nelson Construction. They are not the low bid, but theirs was the most complete bid. Andy said that the dealings with them were, that was the best feeling he got. They seemed to be the most professional of the groups, and he feels that they will do a good job on the Village Hall repairs. So again, the recommendation to award the contract to J. Nelson's Construction for siding repairs and the installation of gutters, downspouts, and leaf protection in an amount not to exceed $10,145.50.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by O'Brien. Any discussion?
Does that include the gutters? Because when I'm looking at the quote, I don't, unless I just not reading it right, I don't see where the gutters are in there. It could be under another
Yeah, I didn't
terminology
see I noticed on the quote,
that I'm not familiar with,
but on
but
the front page it does, it says with, in the parentheses.
We may not have included, I apologize, I'm not sure why it is in the packet.
Way lower.
On Thursday, February 27th of this year, Andy received an email from an employee at J. Nelson's Construction, because Andy had specifically gone back to him and asked for a specific price
Yeah.
for the installation of the gutter. So, and he had given out options for the installation of a 5-inch gutter and downspout, a 6-inch gutter and downspout, then the 5-inch leaf guard or the 6-inch leaf guard, and then the 6-inch is what Andy recommended. I would agree with that. And the combined price for those two is a little bit under $1,200. And that's included in the price in the resolution.
So I'll amend my motion to state that that needs to include gutters, the price that was approved.
Yeah, the total being the $89.50
Oh, it
and
does.
the
Yeah, we just don't
estimate
have
that
the
was
quote.
received on
I see.
December
We don't have the
16th.
quote for the gutters in there.
Yeah. And then the email, and again, I apologize, I thought the email was going to be in the packet.
Okay, the amended motion.
And I would still second it.
Yes, second. Amended by Duff, second by O'Brien. We had a discussion. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Duff,
Yes.
Jeremy,
yes.
Sneggy,
Yes,
Avon,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Mayor Metzger, O'Brien.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Request to purchase 2024 Chevy Silverado Police Pursuit Vehicle.
I will pinch hit for Chief Sovic tonight. He is on a well-deserved vacation this week with his wife. As the chief lays out in fairly good detail in the council memo that he put together for you, as part of the 5-year capital improvement plan that the police department has, they hadn't planned to replace another vehicle until next year, until the 25-26 fiscal year. However, the chief received information that there was potentially a vehicle that was available now for much less cost. And then he got even more information about the vehicle when he was at the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police annual conference. He's followed up with a dealership in Grand Rapids and has confirmed that by buying the vehicle now, we can save ballpark about $10,000 as opposed to waiting after the July 1 start of our new fiscal year. So, as he indicates in here, the thing that I thought was most interesting was if we go ahead and we make the purchase of this vehicle now, assuming that we take decent care of the patrol vehicles that we have in the fleet right now, we will not have to buy another patrol vehicle until 28, 29, so for over 3 years. So kudos to Chief Sovic. So the recommendation is to authorize the purchase of the Silverado police pursuit vehicle from Berger Chevrolet at a cost of,
51,186?
well, actually,
Little things do not exceed 69,000.
yeah,
it's not
the specific request on page 2 of the chief's memo is to authorize an expenditure of not to exceed $69,000. That's the cost of the vehicle, and then also the cost of having it equipped,
Oh, right.
which we would have to do with any vehicle we got at any time. Correct.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request from Chief Sovek to purchase the 2024 Silverado police vehicle at a cost not to exceed $69,000.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Discussion. We had most of it last time. Roll call.
Aaron Reed?
Yes.
Wozniacki?
Yes.
Raymore?
Yes.
Nutt?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
O'Brien?
Yes.
Goff?
Yes.
Are there a lot of other areas that have trucks for police vehicles?
No, Wixon has one now.
Wilson
I
does?
just saw it.
Okay. 'Cause I haven't seen much. I'm just
No.
curious. No?
I think it's becoming more of a thing.
Yeah.
As you start to see them more, and I think the police departments are realizing, like the chief did, that there are some practical advantages to having a
Yes.
pickup truck
Definitely, they
as,
really,
as part of the police fleet, so,
gives them some versatility that they didn't have before.
yes.
Especially with the lake and boats.
Yes.
White Lake has had one for many years.
Yeah, yeah.
Introduction and first reading of ordinance 164. It's an ordinance to amend Title 4, Building Administration of Part 14, Building and Housing Code of the Code of Ordinance for the Village of Wolverine Lake by adding Chapter 1446, Construction Board of Appeals, in order to establish a Construction Board of Appeals to address issues involving the administration and enforcement of the State of Michigan construction codes in the Village of Wolverine Lake.
At our work session a couple weeks ago, one of the things that we talked about was the process that the village follows in issuing building permits, and we've been working through some issues with Tony Sorge, who was the building official that replaced Tim Brandt ballpark about a year ago. As indicated in the memo and conversations I had with Tony, it became apparent to me, to him and me, to both of us, that the village code does not provide for a construction code board of appeals. I checked with the village attorney, and she advised that if you take a look at state law, really we're obligated to have the Construction Code Board of Appeals if we have assumed responsibility for administering and enforcing the Construction Code Act, which we have. So this is something that we probably should have done before, but be that as it may, this is the first reading of an ordinance that would establish the Board of Appeals. We'll bring it back for second reading at the meeting next month, and then we'll try to find individuals who might be interested in serving on the Board of Appeals, but one thing at a time.
Make a motion that we introduce it as presented.
Motion by Jeff. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Jeremy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ad hoc subcommittee on council committee assignments.
Council, this is something that came up during our work session a couple weeks ago. We had some discussion about the process that council had followed in filling committee assignments last December when this council was seated. At that time, the consensus among everyone that was present seemed to be that there might be some benefit to establishing a subcommittee to discuss possibly establishing a policy going forward to provide more direction and guidance to the council and to the public as to what the process would be in filling those committee appointments in the future. So what I put together is a proposed resolution that would first establish an ad hoc subcommittee to develop a proposed policy on future council committee assignments for consideration by the full council, and then second, to designate which 3 members of council would serve. The 3 members is not necessarily written in stone, but again, that was my suggestion at the work session. We should have an odd number of members, I would think, and if we move above the 3 to 4 or even 5, then it actually becomes a council meeting and not an ad hoc subcommittee meeting. Either way, the committee is going to be subject to the Open Meetings Act. We'll be posting notices, keeping minutes, all those kind of things. But again, I think 3 seems to be the appropriate number. But again, that's not written in stone.
Any motions?
I make a motion that we set up an ad hoc subcommittee on council committee assignments.
Second.
Motion by Kaznecki, second by Laybourne. Any discussion? Let's have a roll call.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Wozniacki,
Yes,
Layborn.
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes. Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff.
Yeah.
And I guess the other part would be determine who would like to serve on the
Would
committee.
like to be on it?
I'd volunteer to
volunteer.
serve on it.
I'll volunteer to be on
Yes,
it.
that's two.
Two, there's three openings.
Oh, yes, then. Anyone else?
I do it.
Four. You want a motion and a vote?
Okay, we got four up, four. Good, so you want to do that, we have four interested, three spots.
Well,
So-
well, this is just for the subcommittee, right?
The subcommittee, correct. Yep.
So we could have four discussing the subcommittee, and we could still have it down to, we're just establishing what we want to do here, not who's
Yeah,
going to be on
at
it,
what point does it
right?
become-
Well, I guess the practical, yeah, we can have four on the subcommittee. At that point in time, it becomes a quorum of
Oh, it does.
Right.
of the village
Okay.
council. So if that's the case, then, I mean, I think the council might as well go ahead and discuss it without the subcommittee. So,
Right, so we, it's the quorum, that's,
you know, Jennifer, do you have any different thoughts on that?
No, I mean, you're subject to, you said you were gonna notice and, take meetings in the minutes, I assume, somehow, so. That would be the requirements, but I think what Dave is saying about three is a better number for a committee, then you might as well just meet as a council if you're gonna do more than that.
But it's council's decision, it's council's call.
So if we did it as a council, would it be a work session?
We could do it as a work session, yes. Again, at a work session, keep in mind, there wouldn't be any motions that would be made. No formal action taken, but issues could be discussed.
I think subcommittee would be a better approach, better way to go to start.
Well, the other advantage is you're trying to coordinate three or four people's schedules
Right.
as opposed to 7 people's schedules. But again, it's your decision.
Was everybody's thoughts on it?
We have a motion that was approved for the ad hoc committee
Correct, for three.
for 3 people.
For 3 people.
We had 4 people volunteer.
Let's do it, make a motion that we appoint Duff to the ad hoc committee. That's one position.
Okay, all in favor, appointing?
I'm sorry, was there a second on that?
There was, yeah, was there. So the motion to appoint Mr. Duff to the ad hoc committee? Need a second?
So we do each one individually, is that
second
what you're
it.
going to do?
Sounds like that's what we're gonna do.
I second it.
Second by Brian, roll call.
Wozniacki,
Yeah.
Layborn,
Yes.
McNutt,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff.
Can I vote for myself? I don't think I can.
Yes, you can.
I'm going to
Election.
recuse.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Okay, so we have one.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Aaron Newman to the ad hoc committee.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Duff, second by Brian to appoint Aaron Newman to the ad hoc committee.
Who was the
Who
fourth
is,
one?
who are the,
Who's the
four- yeah.
fourth?
Oh, Jeremy.
Pam is Kaznecki, Duff, Newman, and Jeremy. The four. So right now, it's Aaron's up, so roll call.
Layborn,
Yes.
McNutt,
No, he's on a lot.
Newman,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jeremini,
No.
Kaznicki.
No.
How many was it? How many was it?
Believe the motion was approved.
Was it
4-3.
approved? Was it- Yeah.
I'll make a motion that Jeremini, was that the other one?
Second.
Motion by Kaznicki, second by Newman for Mark. Roll call.
McNutt,
Yes.
Newman,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Jeremini,
Yes.
Kaznicki,
Yes.
Labar.
Yes.
Looks like we have them.
Well done.
And as to the three of you that were chosen, I mean, if you want, we can try to look at our schedules now, or I can circulate dates by email.
My schedule coming up is super busy, so just a heads up. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be at, so I can give you a little bit better after the first of the month.
Okay.
But I know I gotta go back to Illinois the last week of the month, so.
So that would include the 2 weeks, the 26th. Do you think you'll be gone then?
Yes, potentially. I
Okay.
have not heard back 100%, so.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that can be.
Okay, we'll figure out when we can meet. So, thank you.
Second call to the public. Opportunity for citizens to address council regarding village business. Motion to
Motion by public.
Motion open by Newman.
Second that.
Second by Duff. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ready?
Yes,
David
sir.
Labor, 2335 Shaken. The chairman of the Water Management Board came here and gave you a figure of 529 boats on his boat count. And of course, the boat count has been going like this on this lake. But what he didn't do is research as to why the boats are going like this. In other words, we're getting tons and tons of boats. We didn't get any new subdivisions put in the village. We didn't put in new homes. So where are these boats coming from? Well, I did a study on that because it's affecting my property. We have boats come as close to my property as 30 foot. I've set my security camera within 50 feet. That security camera is catching all the boats that are going 50 feet or closer to my property. It's really dangerous. I had a 30-foot pontoon with 150 horsepower. I got rid of it. It was too big for this lake. It was a nice one, but it was just too big for the lake. I've talked to the Wolverine Lake Police Chief, or, excuse me, the previous chief, and he said he would give tickets to anybody that doesn't belong on the lake. How many tickets did we give? 0. The person that parked was a councilman, and therefore he didn't give him any tickets. The one that had his boat in one of the parks, he didn't belong in there. Even DNR gave a violation for that boat. He did not belong in that park. He didn't have any rights to be there. He was in Salado Park. We were in subdivision, Shaken Park. Even the owner, one of the owners of the park, wrote to the administrator and the police chief complaining about that boat. He got no response. And I got all the documents on that. How many parks are there on Shaken? Does anybody know? Small parks? 2, 3, 4? Nobody? Okay, 6. In a mile-long road, we got 6. Now, are you folks aware of Wolverine Lake Bluffs? There are 2 parks on Shaken called Wolverine Bluffs. Okay. there's A and B. There's 71 homes that belong in that subdivision. Guess how many boats they have in that park? They got 9 out of 71. There's no more room to put boats there anymore. That used to be a beach for that park, for the kids. They used to have campfires there. But these guys came in and put this wonderful, wonderful dock. And the families used to go there to swim. And all of a sudden, they can't do that. I was asked by one of your neighbors to help them out a little bit. Am I right, you have a boat there?
I do, and also, there was never a beach there in 30 years.
I've been here 50 years.
Let him talk to him.
Okay.
Everything has to go through the president.
And do they have permits for those boats? And the other thing is, they gotta have every one of the 71 people give you approval to put a boat there. We have 60 boats passed over our limit on this lake. 60 that now belong on this lake. Now, I sat down with the police chief, and I think the police department has to get involved with the Water Management Board to come up with plans to satisfy the safety of this lake. Right now, we have 3.9 acres per boat. That's the danger stage of having a boat on this lake. Extremely dangerous. You should be between 7 and 8 acres per boat. Now, Michigan does not have any system to figure that out. So I had to go a different state in order to find the numbers, because some states are more advanced at some of these things than we are. In this case, Indiana. Just like I did with sonar, I went to Florida to find the right chemicals for this lake that was so successful. So my recommendation is we got to get some kind of committee to evaluate the issue. I guess my time's up.
Mr. President, I'd like a point of order that, just to remind the council members that they're not supposed to directly interact with people. It's supposed to go through you.
So resolved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Call the public?
Just for council's edification, what he was talking about, we were addressing 22 years ago. And I thought we had gotten as far as a marina ordinance. I don't know if we did, but that might be a good place to start as far as something like that goes. That's actually a legitimate beef. So, I'm back about the solid waste fees again. The biggest thing that has come to me since bringing this to council, I was here September 12th, 2024, and I handed out a sheet that I wouldn't have blamed you if you all threw them away. I just called it up and sent one to Councilperson Laybourne about the solid waste fee, about what percentage of a tax increase it was, how much it seems to have added to the general fund. and that it's been over-collected, and that is my point tonight. Every year for the past however many years it's been, 14 years now, there's been an overage at the end of the year. If you compare on your, I did this all from the village budgets, but if you compare on the village budgets, the amount that is, where is it? Oh, well. It's your solid waste fee. And that was one of my contentions at the beginning, that this wasn't a fee, it was a tax, and I've been told in no uncertain terms, it is indeed a tax. And in looking it up as a tax from the state of Michigan, it says, money in the solid waste management fund at the close of the fiscal year shall remain in the fund and shall not lapse to the general fund. Michigan Municipal League says to avoid classification as a tax, a user charge or fee must serve a regulatory purpose rather than a revenue-raising purpose. Revenues derived from user charges, fees, must be segregated from other municipal funds and applied solely to the expenses of providing the service or the improvement. So all of these overages on that sheet I gave you, and these are things that have been bothering me for years, and now they're all kind of dovetailing. Actually, thanks to you, Mr. President, you brought up the missing link. But as of 2023, there was $151,625 over-collected on the rubbish fees, the solid waste fee. That's another thing. Over the years on the bills, it's been a trash fee, a rubbish fee, a solid waste fee. We need some regularity there too, but I don't believe Mike was an exemplary person. I'll get misty talking about him, so I won't. But Jen is outstanding. This council is more receptive than any council has ever been as a body. I do not believe any of this was done intentionally. I believe it was simply an unintentional oversight. But right now, the $151,625 is almost half, and there's probably another $9,000 or $10,000. I haven't seen a full copy of the 2024 audit, but there's probably another overage, so it might be $160,000 by now. I don't know. It seems to have gone up anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000 a year. It's fluctuated. But I would humbly suggest, may I humbly suggest, I would humbly suggest that to write this oversight, that council designate $151,625 from the general fund and whatever the 2024 overage was for the solid waste fee, and subtract that amount from whatever we're paying in 2025. Take it from the general fund, wherever it's been going. I don't know where it's been going. I'm assuming the general fund. But designate it from the general fund to the trash fee for this year, charge people half for this year, and see where you go from there. But right now, according to the state and anything else I can find, a fee cannot be put into the general fund. A fee is for that item only. So you can do as you wish. I noticed that was something else, and I'm not criticizing you, but I noticed there was a motion and vote on the first gentleman that spoke. And I have never, I've been coming to these meetings for, Jesus, 30 years, and I have never seen a motion and vote during a call to the public, ever. I was absolutely flabbergasted, and I loved it. But I would encourage you to deduct this overage that obviously should have been probably rolled in every year with the trash fee, or to deduct from the trash fee the year before's overage. I would encourage you to do that. And if you need another copy, it should be in your email. If it's not in your email and you need one, I would be happy to send you what the sheet that I sent you before. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's for this year. I'm not talking about going forward. Going forward, that's up to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Motion to close the call to the public.
Motion to close. Second by Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
Call the public closed. Pending business. The compensation.
Actually, we skipped over item L.
Oh, did we?
Motion to forego work session.
Motion by Duff, second by Newman. Before we go to work session, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Sorry about that. Now pending business. Thank you.
Council, we brought back the issue of the administrative assistant compensation. You probably recall at our last regular meeting, after some discussion, council voted to award the administrative assistants a 6.6 wage increase retroactive to January 1st of this year. And that recommendation was based upon a variety of information that the staff had compiled and provided first to the admin committee and then second to council itself. I'm not going to speak for our treasurer, but as I understand, when Jennifer went to input the wage increase into the pay schedule, she found that the figures that had been provided to council about the current wages for the administrative assistants were not accurate. The information that she had gotten came from a BS&A report, which basically assumed that the employees were working a 40-hour work week, and then based upon the hourly wage upon a 40-hour work week. In fact, our administrative assistants don't work a 40-hour work week, they work a 35-hour work week. So the information that was provided to you was not accurate. Ballpark, the dollar figures that you were given were about $2 less an hour than what the administrative assistants are actually currently making. So, again, as I indicated in my memo, this isn't to indicate that that I don't feel that the rest of us on the staff don't feel that they're deserving of some kind of an increase. But we wanted to bring this back to you because the 6.6 increase based upon the numbers that were provided is analytically, in terms of the thought process, is different than potentially a 6.6% wage increase above and beyond what the two administrative assistants are actually making at this point in time. So Jennifer put together a spreadsheet for you that kind of lays that out. If you have questions about how that's laid out, she's the best one to answer that. She also contacted a number of other communities in the area to get other comparable information that is about what employees in communities nearby are making for the types of jobs they have. Again, there's some back and forth in there because what different people do in different communities can be called the same thing or can be called different things. But in addition to all the information that I had provided you previously and the admin committee previously from the MML wage survey for this year, Jennifer got additional information from Commerce Township in White Lake Township, just as a zing to our neighbors to the south. She reached out to the city of Walled Lake for that information. After identifying who she was, why she was calling, they told her she would have to file a Freedom of Information Act request to get that information. So,
Nice neighbor.
be that as it may. So, we put together this other information, we're bringing the issue back forward to you again. I think it's appropriate towards some kind of a wage increase, retroactive to January 1, to the 2 administrative assistants. As to what the amount of the wage increase will be is completely up to you. The chart that Jennifer has put together goes across the board up to the same 6.6%. And the information, just to clarify one thing too, the information she put together assumes not only a certain wage increase, but we're also assuming that the administrative assistants will get a 4% wage increase as of July 1, the same as all the other unionized employees are going to get too. So if you have other questions, I can try to answer them. Jennifer can answer those questions for you, try to answer the questions as well. Otherwise, we're open to discussion.
Thank you for all this information.
You're welcome.
I'm sure it took a while to put together. I had asked you before a meeting started, what, underneath the annual wage tab on the second page that says 3 years of service.
Mhm.
And I know you explained it to me, but I think it makes sense if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So you'll see on some of the information that was presented to you last month for that is that they have ranges. So it'll say like Clausen, 47,000 to 55,000. So basically what they're saying is at the bottom of that range, if somebody's coming in on year 1, it would be at that 47,000 level. By the time they reach 3 years, they're going to be at the top of their wage scale, or it's like a step thing. And so basically, our administrative assistants have been here 13 and 10 years. And so they would both be, they're both seasoned administrative assistants, and the 35-hour work thing, that's pretty common in municipalities. A lot of people, they might work 7.5 hours and then get a half an hour paid lunch or something like that. So that's why, or they might have the same thing, 9 to 5 with an hour lunch, but it's a paid lunch or whatever. So that's why I didn't even look at hourly rates, because we just basically looked at the annual rates to be able to compare apples to apples. So that is just how that's presented, just to show that there's a disparity between our neighbors. And speaking with, I spoke to Kathy DeRocher, the HR director at White Lake Township last week, and she said that when she did their contracts for their office personnel, and like I had told you before, our admins would fit into any of those jobs. She had said that they put that together a couple years ago, and they felt good, like they were like near the top of a really good place for being very competitive in the employment market. And she said, and now 2 years later, when she's filling out other people's studies and she's seeing what they're doing, they're barely hanging on there at those rates, and they're pretty high rates, what they're being paid. So, I just wanted to kind of demonstrate that for you guys. You're welcome.
Well, currently it's approved 6.6. That was the previous meeting.
Yes.
So it was, the recommendation by the admin was 3. So,
And that had been my recommendation to admin too, as well, just so everybody's clear.
so this first one is, do we keep it as voted on, or change? So we can have a motion to maybe keep it And then go from there.
Well, unless, I could, maybe I zoned out here, but, so what you're saying is even at a 6.6%, they're still way under.
They are.
So, we're suggesting a 9%?
No, I laid out this scenario up to 6.6%. You can do whatever you want. But this is the amounts they would be earning if you gave 6.6% now, their new wage, and then an additional 4% in June. So they would be below, but, you know, it's up to you if you want to take it in steps and maybe review it next year, or do another study next year, or something like that. I mean, anything you're looking at, but, yeah, they're definitely not, you know, but we're a small community. We are a small community, so we do take, and we're very conservative here, as far as that goes. But, absolutely, personally, I feel a 6.6 is a good number. It's a good number to me.
And then they're gonna have the 4 in July, right, which is what we
Right.
talked about last meeting.
Right.
So it's really 10.6.
Right.
And
Yeah.
again, we're assuming the 4%. Council will make that award after July 1. It's not going to be automatic.
Right.
But, I mean, that'll be my recommendation in July. I can tell you that today, so.
Right.
We just did 5% last year too, right? So that's
Yeah,
what,
I'm not
56%?
sure. That's what I
over
was kind of
annual?
questioning, I'm so confused, is that number 6.6 ain't plus the 4%, so
Yes.
10?
It's 10 point,
Basically?
10.6.
Yeah.
That's
So
what that
if-
number shows, 10.
July, yeah.
Yeah, if you took their wage now
It's actually more than
at
10.6.
44.7,
6.6 starts
the
at-
annual wage of 44.7, you times it times 6.6%, and then you timesed it again, times 4%, you would get 49,575.
Okay, all right.
Right.
So, I mean, that sounds good to me. That's what we were talking about last time.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think we're all in favor of the 4%. We haven't voted on it, obviously, 'cause it's not July yet, but I don't think there's anybody that's against that. So, all right, I'm good with scenario 4.
So basically, leaving it as is, as was voted last time. That's
Oh, sure they have.
because we did vote on it
Yeah.
and went through, so.
Well, Dave, do you need a motion to keep it, or is it, we just keep it?
Well, I would ask for a motion, either to affirm the 6.6% or something else, because the 6.6 was based upon an inaccurate wage figure.
So a new motion would be good.
I agree.
So, all right, I'll make a motion to approve the 6.6 wage increase.
And that would be retroactive to January 1, as
Retroactive
discussed
January
before.
1, as discussed before, yes.
I'll second that.
Motion by O'Brien, second by Duff. Any discussion? We've already had it. Roll call.
Newman,
Yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Jeremini,
Yes.
Wozniacki,
Yes.
Raymore,
Yes.
Nutt.
Yes.
Thank you, council. That we could get that cleared up tonight. so.
Are you doing police chief's update?
I think we'll forego the chief's update
Chief's
tonight,
update,
so
okay.
just business as usual in the police department. so. And if he were here, he would say thank you for the authorization to purchase the new vehicle as well.
Help saving. Really is.
Okay, it's budget season, so, for the liaisons, keep an eye on your packets coming to you, because there is, a budget sheet for you guys that you'll be working on in in the packets you're gonna get, so that you'll be able to, the board members will have an opportunity to look at those numbers and be able to talk about it at your next, at each of the respective meetings. We're in the middle of settlement, and that's going well, and I think that's all I have to, that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Good?
Jennifer just reminded me while she mentioned the liaisons to the different boards and committees. Something I've talked about with President McNutt, and you'll see it on agendas going forward. Not that I necessarily want to make our meetings last any longer, but for those of you that are liaisons to any of the other boards and committees, you'll know that there's a lot of reporting from the liaisons on the other boards and things like that. So what we had discussed, and I would be fully in favor of it, is those of you that are liaisons to other boards, to the Water Board, Planning Commission, Parks and Recreation, we're going to put updates on the council agendas too. So council can receive an update as to what's going on the various other boards and committees. So that'd be something to look forward to starting next month. So, reminder to everyone, we had some very nice weather last week. We got some warmer weather coming this week. We actually had one of the priority waste workers who picks up here at the village pop in and ask us to remind everyone that yard waste pickup does not start until the first Monday in April. So April 7th is the first day you can put the brown bags with all the stuff that you're picking out of your garden beds and things like that. If you put it out before then, it's not going to get picked up. And if it's sitting out there too long, you know you're going to get a letter from the code enforcement officer. So again, Monday, April 7th is the first day for yard waste pickup here in the village. At the risk of stealing a little bit of thunder from Councilman Giormini, I'm sure he's going to mention the Easter Bunny Luncheon that's coming up on Saturday, April 12th. The only reason I mention it is because now that all the information is getting out publicly on the website and things like that, we're starting to get a lot of demand. So those tickets are going hot, they're hot and they're going fast. So if you and your families want to come to the Easter Bunny Luncheon on Saturday the 12th, contact the Village Hall as quickly as possible to get signed up.
Because you don't have to be a resident, right?
Turn people away at the door.
Secondary market for those tickets is high.
Should do surge pricing.
Yeah, I don't know if you can go on StubHub or not for that, but anyway, but yeah, again, we're going to reach our limit and you're going to be cut off. So if that's something that you and your families want to do, get your tickets as soon as possible. So, one thank you, if I could, to Hannah Kennedy Galley. It's probably not a name that a lot of you recognize, but ballpark for the last 5 years or so, she's been serving as the recording secretary for the Water Management Board and the Parks and Recreation Board. And Hannah has got some other things going on, and as of the end of this month, she will no longer be serving as a recording secretary for us. Fortunately, we did have to go through and fill the spot for the council meetings. Vicki Rohde, who is not here tonight because she had a prior commitment for her employer, but was here for the work session a couple weeks ago and will be taking our minutes going forward. We had several other very good applicants, and one of the other applicants, Bethany Johnson, who lives over in Commerce Township. And Jennifer had a chance to meet her over at the township about a month ago. We'll be starting taking minutes for those boards. She'll be shadowing Hannah at the meetings for both groups this month, but those will be the last meetings that Hannah will be doing for the village. So, and I just wanted to publicly thank Hannah and acknowledge she was rock solid, very dependable for us upstairs in the office. We didn't have to worry about her calling to cancel or reschedule her, and she did a very good job on the minutes too. So, so we appreciate all of the work that Hannah did for us, and we wish her nothing but the best going forward. So, the only other thing I would add is next Monday, St. Patrick's Day. Everyone be smart, be safe, but have a good time. So, thank you.
Council comments. Pam?
I'm really happy for Fred. It was quite touching to see his response to the plaque, and very humble man, so congratulations to Fred. Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody, and see you next month.
Pam and I had another Leah board meeting today. I think we're officially going to be voted on as
Next time.
board members next time. But we're just so pleased to be a part of what they do. I mean, we're in awe every time we leave that meeting of all the work they do in our community, so it's a really great organization. I wanted to thank our code enforcement officer for providing the updated detailed report for our review. I thought it was really helpful in understanding just the scope of his work, so I appreciated that. And happy springtime.
Save our boys, you gotta be safe, see you next month.
You okay, right?
Oh, yeah, it was actually an improvement.
Bill?
Is it me? Just happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody, and have a safe month until next time, and next time you see me, I'll be retired.
Party at Bill's house?
Yep.
All right, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody be safe, that's it.
Congratulations to Fred. I think everybody kind of saw it today, you know, kind of guy he is. And like I've said before, anytime you need help, he's there. And couldn't go to a better person. As Dave mentioned, Bunny Luncheon's coming up on April 12th. Hopefully it won't be snowing or raining, because it's done that each of the last few years. So laying out the eggs it'd be nice if it was dry and sunny for once, because last year it was snow. We have the cereal drive going on, and that will go on through till April 15th. And all of the cereal raised will go over to Hospitality House. And then finally, we got our blood drive coming up on April 14th, 3:30 to 8 p.m. So get signed up online. And happy St. Patty's Day, everybody.
Mark, where do you bring the cereal?
Here. There's a box right upstairs.
Just congratulations to Fred on Citizen Year, well deserved, and happy St. Patty's Day.
I have a question, Dave, I forgot that. I had contacted Mr. Walker from English Gardens 3 times. And I never heard back from him, and finally today, I called him, and he said, oh, it's been delivered.
It's been delivered, and he called me yesterday, and it's paid for.
Okay, well, thank you. So,
The candles were delivered on Monday. Yeah.
I just wanted a response that, yes, he got my email that go ahead and order them, because I had this fear that we're gonna come up taking it. Oh, I never heard from you, Pam, so I never ordered them. And I wasn't hearing from him, so I was
Candles are
shocked that you did get them.
Yeah, yep, and actually, and he had called, and he apologized for the delivery coming as early as it did. And I know that the DPW was able to find room for him in the garage.
Okay, okay.
But, I mean, we appreciate the fact that as long as we can get them, we've got them.
Yeah.
His concern was, if he told them to hold off on the delivery, that our candles might have gone somewhere else, and we could have got the short end of it, so. We do have them, yes.
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by Ryan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?